Like, okay. I'm just trying to make sense of. There we are.
Nice.
Better just turn this around.
Hey.
You said life. Life for real. As I'm over here like picking plantain chips out of my teeth because I was hungry before the show. I had my plantain chips at the side. Girl, I'm hungry.
You know what? We're stuffing our faces. We're like, they're snamming like nobody's business.
I am hungry. So how are you ladies? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. You know what? It's all good. The sun is out.
That's it.
You know, obviously it's a bit cooler than what we would like, but hey, you know what? We are here. We are alive. We are healthy.
I wish that the coolness was our only problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
Like, imagine
only issue.
last year this time it was, right? Last year this time it was one of those things where, yeah, it's getting a little cold, it's getting a little nippy, but we'll get through. Now we are on this serious lockdown, and it is quite an interesting year.
Girl, it's what a year it has been so far.
Imagine somebody had told us this time last year what we would have experienced in 2020. You would have laughed.
Girl, a belly laugh, like the deepest laugh you could feel. We were like, you're a damn fool trying to come and tell me about pandemic of what?
Well,
What's that cold what?
And especially in this day and time where we're being told that, you know, we chatted a bit about this actually, I think yesterday, about the idea of the human evolution and how literally, you know, in the 1900s, like the world was so different. And, you know, we have got to the point where we're in these building buildings as high as the eye can see. And our technology is so advanced. We're advancing technology every day. Yet here comes a virus, you know, just old plague, almost biblical standards, comes and shuts everything down. Even in the year 2020, you know, the Jetsons and Back to the Future, all these movies used to talk about, the
flying cars and floating
floating
buildings and all this.
And something as old-fashioned and as biblical as a virus has shut us all down.
And it's changed the course of life forever.
That part.
Yeah, like
that
part. Even if they do find a cure or a vaccine, whatever, it's still not going to erase what's happened. No. Everyone is still going to be on 100 thinking, okay, fine, you got this vaccine, but that's not going to make me drop my guard. No. There'll be lots of people still wearing masks, still, you know, full on wearing face shields because they're just
worried about germs in general. Because,
we have a lot of germaphobes and stuff.
Today it's COVID-19. What will it be
in the next
2025?
Girl.
Right? Will it be SARS-25? Like,
oh Jesus. And the economy and all this, like clearly no one was ready. Everyone thought they were ready with their savings account, and then this happened, and then we learned. I wasn't ready.
You weren't ready. No, I wasn't ready.
We were all being underpaid. We were all charging too little. We all learned that no matter where you are in your career, whether you're working with a company or whether you own your company, or whatever you're doing, a combo of both, you found out that, I was being underpaid.
Girl.
And my life insurance is crap. And and $5,000 is not enough to, you know, keep me between jobs because I got laid off and now I'm looking for a new job. And it's taking longer than the 2 months that I thought it was going to take.
Right.
My $5,000 is close to done. We're learning all of these little things now.
Man.
It's been quite something, and you said it right in the beginning. You know, despite our advances in technology, in medicine, in all of these things, here comes this very tiny, minuscule thing. Like, viruses are very minuscule. They're not some big bad thing that comes out. It is a tiny virus, but the thing is, though, when that thing hits you, it hits you and it multiplies and it feeds on you. So I hope if anybody takes anything out of 2020, because we're definitely going to be talking about 2021, but if they take anything into 2021, is how important your health is.
Oh, I really hope so. I hope people take that, put it on the top of their list.
Yes.
Because we see that because of this virus, a lot of people that had underlying, health issues. And even if you had, all of us have had our share of pneumonias growing up as kids, and what have you. And then once your, immune system is compromised, that's it. You have an underlying issue. And with the simple thing is like bronchitis or just a normal common cold, when it hits your body, that's it. You're down like a psycho on the floor. So clearly,
absolutely,
we were overworked, like we were saying before. No one was paying attention to their health. Even if I'm sure a lot
people
of people
were going to work. People were going to work with bronchitis.
Yeah. And even, you know what? I'm sure there are hundreds of people walking it down pre-diabetic, with all these pre-things, and still charging on to work or charging on their life because they were like, well, I feel good, so I don't care if my body feels a little ways or why I can't see all of a sudden and all this.
Some people can't afford to not go into work. I mean, depending on where you are and if you're working shift work, it's very hard to call in and say, before the COVID situation, people would call in and say, hey, I need a day. Oh, no, you can't do that unless you find someone to take your shift. And your shift is starting in 20 minutes. Who are you going to find that can take your shift in 20 minutes?
Nobody.
So, it's not even a matter of people thinking they could do it. They had no choice.
So they go to work with the flu or with, mentally not feeling right. And they go and stress themselves out even more. And then this pandemic on top of it, girl.
And I think it's, listen, you guys are talking a word, a verse, a whole chapter, a book, right? Like, I've had my bouts of physically, mentally, emotionally, everything not feeling well and forcing myself to go into work. And I think one of the worst was I had, and this is going to be personal, so people, whatever.
People let the woman speak.
Right? I had a moment where I went to my gynecologist after having a polyp growing in my uterus, which is basically like, it's another form of a fibroid, but it was actually growing in my uterus. We got that taken care of, got tested only to find out that they were afraid that I was precancerous, right? Because there was abnormal cells.
Right.
And so what happened with me is I went into the office and she told me, like, here's the situation and you have two alternatives. We can do a procedure in the office right now, and we can wait a couple of months, right? And you can go back in and do a surgery, but we'll wait. Well, the procedure that was done right now was for them to cut off a piece of my uterus.
Wow.
So I go in, they inject me,
right?
Snap. I go in, I finish, I go into the waiting room 20 minutes. My ass drove right back to work.
Wow.
I didn't go home. Right? Yeah. And it was one of those moments, I think, that, even after I went into work, I was forcibly sent home because, I kind of said, hey, by the way, so this happened. and they were like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, we've all been through it.
My uterus taken care
where
of.
Someone had to tell you to go home. Like,
right, yeah.
And TV, this. I mean, half of the reason why we get along so much, I think, is because we're both overworker people. We don't know when to stop. And I've had the same thing where people look at you and they're like, okay, so why are you here? Like, you should be at home. And
when you go home, what do? You work. I came home and I worked. I actually sat there and I went back on my laptop and I continued to work. And I think what's interesting about, and I think people really need to look into the good things that have happened in terms of 2020, right? I think it gave a lot of people a really big wake up call.
I believe so. It
was like, wake up. Right? And whatever the wake up call, because I think it was different for everyone. I think, what was great with us is our wake up came before this COVID thing even happened, right? And if anybody watched the first episode of our show, if you haven't, go back to YouTube, check out, it was on February 1st, and we talk about our wake up moment. And this was, pre-learning about, what COVID was going on in the world. And we had our wake up moment that has brought us to this point. But I think for a lot of people, I'm hoping that they realize that they took a step back and realize, well, this is a wake up call for my life in terms of what I want to do, where I want to be. And the reality is, you know, what people thought couldn't be done at home, guess what? It can be done at home.
Right? Like all these times, because I know I have a friend, as I've told you girls about numerous times, she always wanted, you know, she wanted to work from home some days. And her boss would always be on her saying, no, you can't work from home. You know, like, oh, she's gone. But it's, you know, she's like, oh, no, you can't work from home. You know, you gotta come into the office. Da, 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 da. I thought you got up because you were like, okay, you know.
Oh,
what?
yeah. And, you know me. When I don't like what I hear, I just leave.
That's how it was, though. And for years, it's been like that. So I messaged her when the pandemic first hit. And yeah, I had to forcibly shut everything down. I texted her and I was like, so, is so-and-so still bugging you about working from home? And the two of us laughed so hard. Because he was trying to find every excuse
as to why
she couldn't work from home. And she's also engaged. So she said, you know, she wanted to try this because she could also work from abroad. He was trying to say to her, oh, you know, we might maybe hire someone to work along with you so that, you know.
So replace you.
So it's baffling that people that would use that excuse to say you can't work from home, from what I know, and from what I hear from other people, their businesses are still afloat.
That's it.
I don't hear anyone saying, oh yeah, I'm struggling, my company has gone downhill. For the ones that, you know, work in offices and stuff like that, that's a different story for, you know, gyms and stuff like that. I don't know what they're going to do. But for the most part, working from home with a like computer or a laptop, they're all right.
So, you know, as we talk about kind of what's next into 2021, things that are now being normalized, like there's this idea of things that people thought could not be done are being normalized. And, you know, one of my clients said to me something that I thought was interesting. And Garcia were there when he said his business is actually increased by 60%.
Well, good for him.
And the reason it's increased by 60% is all of a sudden going online, more people had access to him. So he was in a situation where he's in an industry that is very regulated. They had to find ways, even with their numerous regulations, to figure out how to pivot and be online. And by doing that, his calendar is fuller than ever. He's in the financial industry. It's Ty, you know Ty.
Oh, yeah.
So he's in the financial industry, and now all of these people now have access to him. So instead of being limited to people within the Greater Toronto area to come in and sit and meet, everybody's on Zoom. Everybody's online. If it's not Zoom, it's some other online platform that people are using. And now they're not now accessible. Now that's not for everybody. And like you said, there are some industries, and Garcia, we're going to talk about it because you had a few, you know, in our planning call that have been hit, you know, really affected by this COVID pandemic, and really will figure out how they're going to pivot. But it's very interesting how certain industries are pivoting, right? We're all going to be doing the Black Professional Tech Network Summit. I know we all have our tickets for that. I think it's next week. And so here is something that traditionally would have been in a room with tons of people. They managed to put something online to connect tech professionals with employers and investors and all of these different things. So, you know, I'm saying that to say to people, yes, 2020 for a lot of people have been a shit show. Honestly, for me, it hasn't necessarily been a shit show. Like, I have had these self-realization moments, despite, you know, there's been a bunch of shit, but I've also had this self-realization moment that you kind of realize you can shift and pivot and transition, and this may not be so bad.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's exactly it.
I think there are many people that are happy about how 2020 turned out. Yes, of course, I'm sure if I asked the same question of some people in June, they would have been like, it sucked. Like, this is not fun. But I think that at the end of the entire thing, people needed to become creative. And I think that 2020 allowed us to put our thinking caps on. In the same way that, you know, 9/11 again had all of us thinking about, oh, how are we spending our time? How do we travel? You know, is it safe to have this and that on planes? You know, we started to reevaluate our lives. And it happens in our own personal lives. If something happens in your family, you think, oh, you know, how can I help myself so this doesn't happen in this fashion again? And I think that even if it was a crummy year for some people, I think they learned a lot. And I think they were like, wow, you know what? Now I know that that side hustle that I've been sleeping on,
it needs to be a ting now.
It needs to be a thing.
It needs to be a ting.
You know, even if I plan on staying at my job, I'm still going to work at my thing because, you know, 5 years from now, if there is another pandemic, by 5 years from now, my business will be somewhere where I know I'll be making a substantial amount of money and I'm securing myself. Some people, like we were saying, didn't have life insurance. Some people were like, wow, you know, I never thought what would happen if I got sick. Who would take care of my little child? I'm a single mom or I'm a single dad. Who would be here to take care of my child if I had to quarantine?
Right.
You know, so we're having all of these realizations.
People didn't have wills.
Right. People.
There were people ill.
Yes.
There was a girl
passing without wills.
Oh,
a lot of people didn't have health insurance. They were like, wow, this is how much drugs cost. You know, people didn't know that certain drugs, depending on what you have or what you're dealing with, can cost hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah.
And we're learning these things now. We're learning that the lovely jobs that we have at any moment, regardless of what industry, they can either stop hiring or they can put a freeze on salaries or they can just plain out lay you off or do a temporary layoff, like all of these different. So we're all learning from that. And I think for me personally, I've just learned more about myself. I've learned more about how I process problems and what needs to be fixed. And honestly, 2020 has probably added an extra 10 years to my life.
That's good.
I really do say that because the inner work, I feel that we've all done.
All of that.
It actually, it adds time to your physical life. It's not just about your mental mindset. It's all of that. It's everything. Your heart, your kidneys,
all your body parts. Inside and out.
Yeah. Like, and this would not have happened if we were busy grinding at the mill. It wouldn't have happened.
Thank you. Thank you. And you said a word, sorry, Telly. You just said a word which is creative. Yes. It forced a lot of industries and people to be creative, right? Because a lot of people were stuck at the table with the same homogeneous group of people trying to do new things. I want to do new things, but it was the same regurgitated thing that they did year after year after year. Now it forced people to be creative. On top of that, what added to creativity is, guess what? When you're not getting up 2 or 3 hours before you have to start work to get your kids ready, to get breakfast ready, to sit an hour or more in traffic, depending on the time of day it is, your mind is just, oh my God, there's so much going on. So imagine all of these things going off in your mind because you've got so many different things. What a thing when you can wake up, go through your day, have your breakfast, sit at your laptop, log on for 9 o'clock or whatever time your time is. And the creativity and the juices and everything and the mental state that you have and the physical state that you're in. Maybe like me, you work out in the morning. So you went for your run and you meditated and you just put yourself in a frame of mind, because when you don't have to sit and rush life, right? We were all rushing life. It was like, go, like it was constantly a go.
Yeah.
And now it's like people have slowed down and have stopped and have reassessed a lot of the things that they thought were so essential in their lives.
Too true. And it's like, it's brutal. Now when you think about it, I didn't really think about it until you just broke it down now. Waking up at like, who knows what ungodly
sometimes
hour. 5, 4 o'clock, depending on what time your boss, who doesn't stroll in till like lunchtime, they get to have their beauty sleep. But we have to come in at like ungodly hours. And your brain is already busted from like being on the train, the subway, sitting in your car, and even the foot traffic, people like bumping into you and all this. And you don't even get into your desk properly, and someone's already in front of you with a stack of papers that need to be done by yesterday. And then you have your kids calling, you have your husband calling, and your friends, and it's, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a thing where it started to become normal, and I think
that's scary.
That was the scary part.
Yes, that was scary.
Absolutely.
Started saying, yes, I'm one of the 4 a.m. crew.
Yes.
That should not be a hashtag.
That you're waking up at 4 a.m.
That's not a hashtag.
We're rejoicing that we have to wake up at 4 a.m. to get a half decent breakfast in.
Girl.
Why
you
are
can't
we
eat your lunch?
right? Why are we rejoicing that we're so busy that we have to eat lunch at our desk? Like, why are we normalizing overworking? And that's what started happening.
Yep.
It became a thing. It's like, yeah, I'm just like everybody else. My eyes are shot. I have heart problems now, and I'm only 30 years old. And,
normal.
And I'm taking cholesterol medication because I'm 30 and overworked and underpaid, and I eat crap all day because I don't have time to cook.
That's not normal.
And have high blood pressure. I know people who are healthy as healthy and have high blood. This is a real thing, and it was because of all of the humdrum things that we did every day. And now 2020 forced you to sit your backside down and stop.
Yup. Absolute. You can't go on those, long drive-throughs in McDonald's or Tim Hortons picking up your coffee and your saturated fat McMuffin sitting there. And when you're stressed out at work, what do? People either go outside to smoke, they either go out to get a coffee, they get another burger, they get another, and they're just adding on or taking away, more seconds off their life because they're highly stressed. They have to work with people that they're not very fond of, which can be which can be problematic in itself. That's, if anything, if that alone, I'm just thankful that I don't have to be in the office with anybody. That's my joy. That I don't have to work with people that I couldn't stand in the first place.
And I think people going into 2021 and talking about what's next.
Yes.
This new normal is what most people are going to want. Yes, there are some industries, again, Garcia you had mentioned a few and I want you to talk about it. There's some industry where this can be potentially problematic, but for most industries, staying home, being in your home, and you talked about it, even having a side hustle. Now you can actually do your side hustle because you're home.
Absolutely.
You got that.
You can log off at 5 o'clock from your regular job, and you can go make dinner. And from 6 to 8, you can be doing your side hustle. I know some people who from 9 to whenever they're still doing the side hustle because nobody's over their shoulder. So now it's like they look to the future and they look to 2021 in a more positive mindset. Absolutely. Because they're no longer emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausted. And so 2021 for them looks like a brand new come get you year, right? Like I'm coming to get you 2021. COVID is still going to be around. We know that, right? Like racism is still going to be there. We know that. Sexism, misogyny, all that. It's going to be there.
Those two things ain't going nowhere.
Right? It's all there. But now I think a lot of people are looking at 2021 with very bright eyes, being like, if I can get through 2020 and the transformation that has happened for a lot of people, now 2021, like, I'm ready for you, right? Yes. Now, there are some industries, and you know what, and Carsy's going to talk a little about that, both of you, for instance, like the airline industry. I am so perturbed and disturbed by the airline industry. And listen, we all know they get bailed out.
Oh, girl, yes.
Yeah, there's stimulus packages sitting waiting for them.
Absolutely. Yep. They're all right.
So you are part of an industry that let's be serious. When this is all done, I think all of us are probably going to hop on a flight. The first moment it is, listen, girl, vacation.
Girl,
vacation.
Save the date.
I will be spending
the date.
I won't be looking at prices as much as I used to. I'll be like, I don't even care.
Because we love ourselves.
Please just
we're not going to be stingy. We're going to go first class.
Thank you. Where's the water? Where's the water? Oh, that's where I'll be, right?
Pina colada. Point us in that direction.
I'm ready.
It's time.
So we know that it's an industry that as soon as the world is back, people are going to be on planes, getting the hell out of here. Now, the problem I'm having with the airline industry is they're still packing their planes, so that we're very clear. Their planes are packed. Packed planes.
One stench of social distance, but there's nothing. Shoulder to shoulder. Still.
Okay, you're still charging some ridiculous prices
That part.
to go on flights that are packed, that you're endangering your life with recycled air, knowing that the government is giving you money. So you're doing all of those things. And my problem, and I want to see what happens when 2021 comes around and we are, feel safe to fly, feel safe to fly again. How high are they going to increase those airline tickets and those fuel costs and those whatever costs that they add on?
So thank you, Tashiba, for bringing that up. I have been thinking a lot about the airline industry just because we know it's one of the biggest industries in the world. It employs the most people. And it is something that when there's no terrorism attacks and when there are no pandemics, this is the industry that's usually steady in money making. Mm-hmm. Canadians especially love to travel. We're one of the highest amount when it comes to traveling. Canadians travel the most. We're the most traveled country in the world. And the problem that I see, and I see this along with another industry which is ticketed, which is concerts. So maybe we can talk about them at the same time. Yeah. The problem with ticket sales is that, the ticket is based upon how much it costs to get you through security. How much did it cost to get you through, all of the immigration stuff, get you down the escalator to then go on the plane. How much did it cost? How many people did we have to pay to service you to get from the front of the airport
into the plane,
right?
Into the air.
So based on that, there's a ticket price. Now, the price of tickets has never been per se cheap. We're people that travel, we're all very privileged to be able to say, well, this year I'm going on even one vacation. It's a privilege because a lot of people
I agree.
So when we see ticket sales of like say 500 and under, we're like, wow, that's a deal. Like, I'm gonna go go enjoy this. And then of course you have hotels and things attached to that, Uber, Lyft, all of those things that deal with hospitality. Now the issue is that right now the airlines are begging people to fly. Yeah. If you want to go to Paris right now, now's the time. A really good deal. However, just know you are putting yourself at risk to get very sick, and they're not doing a very good job with kind of containing COVID in Europe. So you could be running into the fire. Yeah. If you decided to travel there. And the thing is, I agree. When this is done, the government's going to say, you know what, we can no longer have 250 people on a plane. We can only have 100. We can no longer have 50,000 people
in a concert
hall. We have to put that number down to 200 people. When that starts to happen, those industries are going to say, well, we still need to make our money.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if we lay off a few people, we still want to make our money. So the ticket prices are all of a sudden going to surge up. And that doesn't sound fun to me as to someone that sometimes likes to take 2 vacations in a year.
Or you want to go see a game, like a basketball game,
concert, entertainment,
and you can't even, even if you can choose, normally you say, okay, I'll choose to go on one vacation and then see a game of some kind. And now you have to choose between the two, which shouldn't be so.
That sucks.
You shouldn't have to choose between.
We are all entertainment lovers here.
Yeah.
If I want to going to a concert, I don't think about it. I just go, yep, I want to go.
Exactly.
And then if someone says 3 months later, Telly, let's go to Chicago, let's go to Jamaica, how do you think about it? No, you're like, oh, hell yeah.
Okay, great.
But now you're going to have to think about it, and that's annoying.
That shouldn't be so.
And here's the problem, and the concern that it becomes is now these things that are already for the privileged are going to be for the super privileged, right? Oh. And that's what I'm hoping does not happen, but that's what I'm seeing that's going to happen in 2021. And so you're going to have almost these categories of people who can afford to travel and go to the concerts and go to the basketball games. And I like to do them all. Like you said, I don't want to think about it. Exactly. If my daughter and I have a yearly vacation, like to me, that shouldn't change. We clearly didn't do it this year, but come next year, everything's good, swipe, and we're good to go. Like we're on a beach somewhere living our very best life or wherever we want to go. Now it is thinking. Now you're going to have an industry that says we have to recoup our costs. And despite the fact that, guess what? We haven't increased the wages of the security guard who helps you. We haven't increased the wages of the immigration officer. You're still going to have to walk yourself down the escalator. The flight attendant is still getting paid the same amount, and we have less of them. And so, like, nothing has increased on their side,
Right.
but their profits have gone down. And they have to put it on somebody, and that's going to be us.
Yep.
It's going to be us.
And our quality of life will change. I mean, half the reason why people are going through so much withdrawal and depression in 2020 is because they couldn't do the things that make them feel good.
Right.
Going to the gym, going to the spa, going to see
your nails done, getting your hair done,
going to see Ed Sheeran and Beyonce, going to the hockey game, going to the basketball game. All of those things were a part of the mental health aspects to
keep you at bay,
stimulate our brains and say, yeah, I've been watching the best athletes, the best singers and dancers, and I'm going to Broadway to watch a show. Like, all of these things added to our life. And
now
through this year, we didn't get to do nothing. Even the idea of driving to Montreal doesn't sound like a good idea to me, because Quebec is having like 1,200
Thank you.
a day. So so you're not even taking these trips to the next city over. So the idea that, you know, we are, you know, sitting in our homes and not being able to do these things, that's what's adding to the problems that we might see in 2021, where we're being overcharged for things where nothing has changed. And it's sad because, you know, I don't want to change, you know, my lifestyle. Like you said,
we've already changed our lifestyle. Like, we're inside.
Yeah.
Right?
This is enough change.
This is enough change. We don't need any more change than this. We're already hibernating.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what you said it best, and as you were talking, what I was thinking about, we do all of those things to reward ourselves for our hard work, right? That is, you know, that is what taking that vacation is. That is what going to that basketball game and the concerts are. It's the reward that we have for hard work. And I think despite the fact that people are working from home, people are actually working harder from home, because now you're at home. And for a lot of people, I don't know about you guys, I live in a condo, so I'm sitting right now in my office space. Like, my office space is in my living room. It's, you know, it's kind of separated from the rest of it, but it's in my home, it's in my space. And there, you know, other than me going to run outside every day, there are days I actually don't leave the house. I run, I come home. This is my routine. I do whatever. I could be working till midnight, right? Like, take a couple of breaks. And so you want those rewards, right? So yes, you know, talks about the positive and amazing things that have happened from working from home, right? Is we don't have to deal with all of the extra stressors before we start our workday. But if your workday is extremely longer, or you have reinvested into a business, so you're trying to build your business, or you have your full-time job and your side business, when you've done all of that, you want to reward yourself. High five, I've done a great job. Hey ladies, what does next month look like for you? I found a great deal on, you know, Expedia for 1 week in Cuba at a 5-star. Can we go? Yeah, you look at the price, you're like, shit, $8.99, I'm in. Is that $8.99 that would have been this year going to be $15.99 next year? Because you'll think twice about it. You'll be like, man, I don't got $1,500
to $2,000.
That's when you gotta think twice.
Start thinking, because you're like, okay, that's not, you know, that's not 1 or 2, you know, installs on my credit card.
No, that's a couple.
That's a couple. That's my rent. That is mortgage.
That's groceries. That's other bills that should be paid.
Yeah, and it's gonna put a damper on the idea of the travel industry.
Definitely.
And it's not going to be as glamorous, because what's made it glamorous is that people can afford to go on these affordable trips, and then they can document it through their social media.
That's it.
And they share that, hey, here's a place where I stayed and it only cost this much.
That's right.
Like, that sort of industry is going to calm down. And what I see for 2021 actually is there's going to be a jump in local,
like, road trips.
Yeah.
True.
People are going to start talking about, there's a restaurant down the street. Rather than there is a restaurant in Trinidad. They're going to be talking about King Street West or
Yeah.
or Eglinton or
somewhere in Hamilton or somewhere.
Yeah,
More local.
Yeah,
spots.
because people won't be able to leave.
No, because we can't afford it. I mean,
or anywhere where they're currently at.
Good grief.
They won't be able
And you're so right. And there is, you know, there'll probably be an increase. I'm a fan of a road trip. I'll get in my car and drive upwards of like 16 to 18 hours to get to someplace new. Any more than that, no thank you. But but you also now think about that hotel industry, right? What happens with that industry, because, you know, they have been impacted. What I did find out recently, though, about the hotel industry in Toronto, hotels that are housing homeless people are getting paid $45,000 a day.
Really?
Yes.
right?
So I found out because somebody I know is a social worker, and they deal with refugees, like, you know, placing refugees and people like that.
Okay.
So he was telling me, he's like, yeah, you know, the hotels, they're getting paid. A girl, wasn't a week, it was like a day.
Wow.
So, you know,
You'll be okay.
Thank you. So I hear things like that. I'm like, oh, so they'll be fine. But the problem is they're not going to look at it as they're fine. They're going to say now everything is at a premium. And so again, all of the, all of the great benefits of 2020 that have happened, are we now in for a rude awakening in 2021 when we find that the things that we enjoy doing to escape from everything that we work hard for is now completely unaffordable?
Right. Yeah.
And the worst thing in the world is working to, make money and not being able to enjoy the money. I know for me, that's one of the joys. I know for both of us, actually, as when you've got some cash and you're like, this is yours, you can spend it. It's like, wow, what do I want to do? What experience do I want to experience?
Thank you.
Do I want to go to a nice restaurant? These things aren't happening because we can't even, we can't even go sit in a nice restaurant and have that experience.
You can do takeout.
Being in stage 2. And when you think about takeout, you're like, I might as well just
stay home and make your own food.
Make my own food. I have chicken. I have some veggies. I will just do it myself, because why did I leave my house?
You're not getting the experience. What's the point?
Right. So, that also is a thing, so going from the airline hospitality to restaurants, I do feel that we're going to see, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but we're going to see tons and loads of restaurants, specifically mom and pop restaurants, just shut down.
It's scary too, because you hear on the news all the time, and a lot of them are saying that they can't go through another lockdown. They can't afford it. They can't. Although we know that the government should give them some kind of stimulus or something. That's what the government should do. But instead they want us to go and just buy takeout every 5 seconds, because that's going to keep them
because we have money. Because we all have money. Because all of the money in the world.
We don't have bills.
And, and Canada, God, for those Americans that are watching, as Canadians, we shouldn't complain, because actually our government is actually giving us money. And unfortunately, their government can't decide on a stimulus. And so people are about to go homeless because the Democrats and the Republicans can't make a decision. So as Canadians, we recognize our fortunes, that the fact that our government for months gave us, people $2,000 a month. But, I'm going to preface that with saying $2,000 a month in a city like Toronto. No. Let me just pause.
Not a lot.
It's not a lot.
Just like that.
Like, let's talk about the average rental cost.
Oh, girl.
For people that, rent in Toronto, rent in Mississauga, rent in Oakville, you are paying at least, and this is a deal, you are paying at least $1,800.
Girl, that's exactly the number that popped up in my head. $1,800.
Yeah, that's a deal.
And that's a deal.
If you can find that.
Good for
you. Say to you, I'm like, how did you get
hang on to that? Because
is it a co-op? Because the only way you got that is through either a co-op
or know the landlord personally.
The landlord is your father or your daddy, if you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? There's got to be a reason.
Pappy.
There's got to be a reason why you got that low rent, because the reality is a lot of people are paying $2,000 upward to $2,500.
To pay like mortgage
for a
style.
month.
For a place in Toronto and in the outskirts. And so, you look at, I think, what, it's the word that keeps coming up in my mind is sacrifice, right? we're all making a ton of sacrifices in 2020. And again, despite, I think, I've watched us all individually grown this year, and I'm so grateful for the growth that we've all had personally and professionally. Maybe not so much financially, but we're going to get there in 2021.
We'll get
We're
there.
getting
Right?
You know, it's slow, it's a journey.
It's
We're going up that mountain.
Right? We gonna get there. But
there.
we've made sacrifices, and the problem I foresee happening coming into 2021 is whether the sacrifices that we've made, we're going to be able to reap the rewards of those sacrifices. Because if we are put into a situation where we've made all of these sacrifices and now we are unable to travel, go out for a nice meal, go out even to drive to the neighboring, province or state or whatever. If we've made all these sacrifices, and then all of a sudden it's like the airline industry says, sorry, now it's an extra fee. So a flight that was $700 is now $1,000. A hotel package that was $800 is now $1,500. Like all of these things, a night out in Toronto, which is already expensive if you're going to any of the good restaurants. Toronto Raptors is one of the most expensive tickets to get, believe it or not, people. Because Toronto itself, like the Maple Leafs, like I don't even understand how their fans afford to go to their games. Like the city is already expensive, the country is already expensive, and so now you've made all these sacrifices and you've hunkered down, and you've tried to save a little money because you're not going out as much, and now 2021 the world opens up, and then you get a punch in the face, and you're like, hold on, I'm poor, even when you're not. Because now all of the things that
you are, because you're trying to save your money.
You're trying to stay afloat.
And there are a lot of very talented people, very smart, that are in the middle of trying to recover from layoffs. So they've been living off their debt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are going to go into 2021 with close to $100,000 worth of debt.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So
absolutely.
2021 isn't going to be, roses for everybody. There are a lot of people that are going to be like, I'm starting off this year with having to pay like $1,000 a month to credit cards, to debt, maybe people deferred their mortgage or something. And, so 2021, I'm excited to see a fresh new year, but it's going to be a challenge for a lot of people because of what happened this year.
Yeah.
There are people getting divorced. There's been divorces, domestic issues, children now saying that they hate their parents, they want to be emancipated. Yeah. So some people will be going into 2021 with broken relationships, therefore broken mindset as well. So it's not going to be exactly
peaches and cream.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
It won't be peaches and cream.
Right?
Yeah, it's not gonna be that. It's gonna be 2021 is gonna be the year where people are hoping to recover from what happened this year. But let's face it, some people might never see the glory days that they had before.
Let's be serious.
Anyone's gonna see the glory days.
No.
Ever. I mean, they think those days, 2019 was the last of it.
Like, I remember the years where I was like, oh, I have some cash. I can
exactly. Get some spare
3
cash.
vacations this year. Oh, I love those sneakers. Yeah, I can afford those.
Now?
And now you're like,
you think twice on everything.
I can't.
You gotta think twice.
I can't do that. I can't do this. Yeah, you got to think twice. So a lot of people are seeing that they have to change their lifestyle, and that is not easy when you are used to what you're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, I mean, like you said, 2021 there are going to be people going into debt. Like, people more debt consolidation is happening. More people are filing for bankruptcy because of the fact that, they have overextended themselves because they've been trying to keep afloat. If you were in the gig industry, and we talked about that, right? If you were the person who used to go out every weekend and you had a gig that you were singing, but you were making a ton of money because you had the tips from the people that were there, you had your regular gig, Well, when the world shut down, you didn't have that.
No,
And, you know, you can maybe transition some of that online, but the reality is that's very difficult. And so now you're trying to, you know, kind of navigate this new normal, and you're trying to figure out a way, how do I navigate through this new world? And by doing so, you're trying to survive and make sacrifices. And so you're going into 2021. And my problem with what's going to happen in 2021, the government's going to come for their money.
Oh,
Let me just go there.
Yeah, income tax next
year. They're going to want it back.
No one should be looking forward to it.
No one's getting a dime.
No one should look forward to it.
No one's getting nothing.
And that's the thing about it, right? So, you know, again, I will preface it as Canada probably, you know, is one of the best in the world in terms of what they've tried to do for us. I've heard, you know, Australia and some other countries did some extraordinary things. But when we live in Canada, we know that Canada has done some great things. But these were not loan forgivenesses, right? Like, this wasn't, we're going to give you this money and don't worry about it, we good.
It was not a gift. Here you go, Canada. It wasn't like that.
Said that, you know, we have to realize that they don't want to go print more money, which they could easily
do.
But they choose
print more money.
They want to do things where things are kept balanced, and they know that they're like, okay, well, if you've already noticed, prices for food has gone up in the supermarket tremendously. Like, I am
ridiculous, but they're
how something that used to be $3.99
is now $7 to $10.
$10. So we already see that different industries, the prices are going up. The taxes that we are used to paying, property tax, taxes on food, taxes on whatever, it's all going to go up in its own way. So, and we're already seeing it. So you almost have to prepare your mind and say, this is how it's going to be, because COVID has it's turned the world upside down.
Definitely.
It's changed all of this forever, because don't think that, okay, now that all the the benefits are paid off, we're all going to go back to $3.99 at the supermarket. No. It's going to stay at $10.99 and go up.
Yeah, because they've had a taste
from then on.
And they like, okay, we can
that's that part. They've had a taste.
Yeah,
they've had a taste that people need to get these things. Girl, I went shopping yesterday. Trienne scanned romaine lettuce. That shit said $3.99. I put it right to the side. I am not paying $3.99 for no lettuce. Listen, I put that shit right.
Not super fancy stuff.
Just your simple.
You want to make like a base for the rest of your salad. That's
and they're charging $3.99.
And I already made my own salad dressing. Okay, I already sacrificed salad dressing. I use olive oil and lemon juice and garlic, and it's just like I'm already making my own salad dressing. Girl, I don't have no lettuce in this house because the thing said $3.99. I put that shit down. I am not paying $3.99 for no lettuce.
Like, that's not right.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, they've had a taste, so they're not going.
I was looking. I didn't pick it up, but I was looking. I was walking down the aisle
$3.99
and coffee, and as I walked by, I saw an instant coffee, and I walked by and I stopped and I went back and I'm like, $9.99
for instant coffee.
I'm like, for a little jar of instant coffee. I was like, what? And I'm a coffee lover, so I will drink. I have one coffee a day, and I was like, this is enough for people to stop drinking coffee, because this is insane. And if that is $10.99, imagine how much coffee costs when you go out to grab one. That means Timmy's, Starbucks,
they're having a field day.
Billy's Coffee down the road, wherever you buy your coffee, Jimmy's Coffee downtown, wherever you're buying your coffee. Guess what? The price went up for them too. So their costs are going to go up, which is why just saying to people, oh, go to buy restaurant food once a week. I'm like, do you know how much restaurant once a week costs? I'm like, one meal, even if you go cheap, it's $20.
It's still hella expensive.
$20 is a lot of money.
You might as well buy a plane ticket and go to Colombia and get your own coffee bean.
God.
And grind your own coffee.
$20 is a lot of money for some people.
That's a lot of money.
One meal.
And then what's this meal consist of? How big is this meal you're getting for $20?
Yeah, exactly. The $3.99 lettuce. that I put down at the grocery store.
No olives yet. No,
Just the
no
lettuce.
tomatoes. No nothing.
That's
Just
not right.
the romaine salad.
That is so not right.
And so this is, and this is my concern, because again, for me, again, as much as the government has done, I think that there should have been more. There should have been absolute forgiveness, because like we've talked about, they've shown us that they can go print some money, go print some more money, and make sure that industries are rebounding, because we all know small and medium-sized businesses make up the bulk of the economy. It isn't the large enterprises, right? It isn't the Apples of the world. It's the small, medium enterprises that are making up the bulk of working people in this world. And therefore, if these companies are going under, and again, people cannot afford to keep up with the basic necessities of life. We've seen when people were increasing the price of hand sanitizers, people were increasing this of toilet paper, like all of the things. You need to hand sanitize your hand and wipe your ass. Like, what are you talking about? Why all of a sudden am I,
They marked up to like $30 to $50.
Right? So price gouging is going to be a big thing. And even those of us who were accustomed to, and you guys have said it best, I've taken, the last few years, probably an average of 2 vacations a year, right? I don't play when it comes to rewarding myself. I'm a hop on a plane and I'm out, right? Like I'm out of here. I need to be out into the world, because it was a reward for the hard work that I'm doing. And now, as somebody who actually needs for my mental health, I'm very honest about it. I need to be out of Toronto, Canada for my mental health, especially during the winters. I have very, very difficult winters. And so I need, even if it's just a week of being somewhere warm, away from things. And so now I'm going to be in a situation that, like, I can't, I'm sorry, Air Canada. I can't afford that. I'm sorry, whatever resorts. Barcelo, all of a sudden you guys have doubled your price. And so now all this price gouging is going to happen. And that's my, again, that's my concern in 2021. And the government, especially the government of Canada, because this is where we live, I feel like they really need to look at saying, what's the impact? Because I've heard things as silly as they were saying that they were going to send people to jail who applied for the benefits, even if they didn't need it. Well, people wouldn't have applied if they didn't need it. They've got no money, and they needed money, and you were giving money, and now they have to worry about going to jail because they took money that they needed to have a roof over their head. What are we talking about?
But if that's the case, you don't need to send them to jail. Just
garnish you to pay.
Off.
So now you can take taxpayers' money to keep them in jail?
Yeah, like it's kind of
that doesn't make any sense. You know what? What else is new?
So you understand, like it's the compounding of stress. And so, again, we talked about it before. 2020 made people pause and stop and reassess and reevaluate, and some great, amazing things have happened. I know, again, they've happened for all of us. We've all started new businesses, new mindsets, new sources of income, all the different things that we're doing that have kind of reset us to prepare us for the amazingness of years to come. But when you have these compounding concerns that you're now having about whether can I afford to go on vacation? Can I afford to even go out to have a nice meal once a week? Can I afford to go to the grocery store and buy lettuce?
Man.
And your government needs to step in. Like, that is my biggest thing. The government will need to step in and recognize that an economy of people who are stressed and overworked and overburdened financially is an economy that's running. It's not going to be able to run if people are overburdened and stressed.
That's it.
Agreed.
And
because I'm not buying that $3.99.
I know, and we didn't even touch on school and
Girl, yes, we got a couple of minutes. Touch on school, girl. We got 2 minutes. All yours.
That's a whole other thing where there's a lot of stress on parents right now. They don't know, if it's fully okay to be sending their kids to,
a lot of them
school.
Well, exactly.
And, those that are looking to do online education, I heard some of them are being delayed in Canada because
they don't want to start them off now until January.
Yeah.
To do the online learning. So now their kids are being forced. Yeah. What's his face? Our stupid Lishi, our educational minister, or whatever he is. Yeah, he said that no more for anyone that wants to register for online learning, not till January. So your kids will still have to go to the actual physical building of school.
Where you're worried about whether they're not going to catch COVID because they have not capped the class sizes and they're still packing kids in.
And you're worrying about that while you're working on your business or you're working at your job. That's high stress.
Right.
Where you have to deliver and show up every day.
Right.
And you're also worrying about your children.
Yep. And it's a funny thing too, because even though people still have the security of their job for now anyway, because the economy is so,
you don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now.
Even if a company is, you know, doing everything online, they easily say, you know what, this isn't working. We're laying off everybody, and there's indefinitely. That's it. Like,
there you go.
We're shutting down.
We're shutting down. Like, there's so much uncertainty.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and then I think I was with you, or heard it this morning, with the whole thing with the election happening in the States, depending on who wins. That will affect the entire economy.
Oh, yes, it will.
It will affect the entire planet. This, you know, whether it's Biden or Agent Orange, whoever it is, it's gonna affect. It's gonna affect the friendly neighbors, which is us. So they gotta take care of Agent Orange.
And honestly, I actually wanted to talk about that, and briefly, I understand we're out of time, and that's another topic which we'll probably end up doing, but the impact of the U.S. election will be huge. Because again, on top of everything that we are trying to tackle in 2020, moving into 2021, the winning party and the winner of this election is going to have a vast influence on the world.
Because, as I was saying to a bunch of, we were in a girl chat last night, and as I said, I'm like, depending on who wins, you know, we could have a rise of you know, the Proud Boys, you know, like, depending on who wins. We could see more people dying of COVID that didn't have to.
Right.
And, you know, we are in uncertain times where we don't know if we're here worrying about our health.
Right.
You know, we're all here hoping that we're not going to die. We're hoping that the human race isn't going to be wiped out as a whole. And then we're dealing with the stress of the leadership of our countries. Because let's admit it, like, the reason why Canada is okay is because we have a compassionate, you know, prime minister who says he's a feminist. Like, that is literally the reason. And we have, you know, Jagmeet Singh and other, like, people in government that are like, okay, we need to help people out. That is the only reason why we are getting some help in some fashion. If we had a leader that was more so of a dictator, you know,
it would be a different story.
Then, like Dawn, it would be a different story.
We would, the country would be.
That's honestly, you know, as the election comes close, because it is very close. It is now October 17th. What are we, 16 days, I think, maybe from election day? Yes, it's November 3rd. That is something we will definitely have to discuss because, you know, again, vast influence what happens in the U.S. election. So I'm cognizant of the time. We will talk about each of our takeaways for this show.
My takeaway quick is just look at 2021 as a time to recover. Be kind to yourself. Don't stress out. Already start to map out, how am I going to recover from the madness that happened during 2020, and how can I recover? Because we can make it. We can recover. We just have to sit and plan it out. Tally.
My takeaway is, despite everything that has happened in 2020, still keep positive. I know it's hard to, especially, I don't know everyone's situation, but I know that if you just keep positive, 2021 can still be a winning year, despite what's going on around us.
I love that. Yeah, you can still win, right? And I think that's the mindset that you have to have. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come down. And honestly, the uncertainty of 2020 is going to go right into 2021, especially if Donald Trump wins. So vote, Americans. Vote. Many of our lives depend on you voting. So again, uncertainty is happening, but we can get through it together. Wakanda forever.
Yeah,
So we will see everyone next week as Garcia is getting our song so she can play us out. If you have any topics for us or anything that you think that we should talk about, feel free to send them to us. We'd love to hear from you because we're going to be here forever. Forever. in my Cardi voice, she said, if I hate you, I'm going to hate you forever. So we're going to be here forever. Okay? That's what you have. We will be with you in 2021, right? We still going to be rocking. Okay? We're going to be rocking with you all through the rest of 20 and into 2021. With us, it's not going to be